The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167. Worst trade of the day.
All right, so since this is a new session, I had to be a little bit careful. So instead of talking about one stock right now, I'm going to talk about worst sort of sector trade. If you held your crypto on an exchange called Quadriga.
Oh, I'm glad you're mentioning this, actually.
Yeah, so there's about $190 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto that was owned by individual people who now cannot get access to that crypto because the founder of the company died in December, and they somehow can't get access to the codes and the passwords and everything to get access to the crypto. It's very mysterious story. We all knew something like this was going to happen at some point because it's happened a bunch internationally, but this is the first time it's hit Canada in quite such a large way.
Yeah, the truth to be told, like, again, people know I dabbled in crypto. I started all my first trades a couple of years ago on Quadriga. That was the exchange I used, and I actually brought over most of it over to, I was working with two different companies, Einstein and Coinberry. But this is a really weird story. And, I hope it doesn't have negative effects on the entire industry, because I don't want people to think that this one's messed up. And they're saying the guy died, but why would he have access to only him to the codes? And then a lot of people are saying, did he just misspell die and forget a bunch of letters, which has disappeared? And
well, the other thing is too is, like, I was looking into this, and so when I originally heard about this exchange, and listen, I didn't do any kind of further due diligence, just asked people in the know in the industry, and they were always like, that's a quote unquote shady exchange. That's what they said to me. And so I never had money on there. But one thing I did read was that CIBC back in January of last year, so 12 months ago, they actually froze their accounts out for around $25 million. They couldn't access their funds. And I had heard that they had opened up a few accounts with different financial institutions and kept getting them closed down. So this is just kind of confirmation.
Yeah, and I feel sad for people who I know in the industry, because I don't want them to all be painted under the same brush. And it's this case, this is terrible. And for people who lost their money, I hope there's a big class action suit. I hope you have a way of getting it back. Listen, I had money on that exchange for an awfully long time and moved it over. And I kept thinking, man, how I would have felt on that. And the industry already taken a hit, but here so close to home, a lot of money, and there's
one guy, Todd, and I'd love to find out who he is, and it could be a girl. Sorry, I should say a guy or girl, who had the largest single wallet in there was $70 million. So one person is out $70 million. So it'll be interesting to see if we find out who that person is.
Oh man, well, it's a lot of money, $70 million. Okay, let's go forward, Bilal.
Future stars of tomorrow.
All right, we've got Liberty Health Sciences, LHS, on the Venture Exchange. So this is a cannabis company based in Florida. I actually just took them on as a client. I'm very excited about these guys because the stock has been under some pressure. It was unnecessarily involved with another company called Afria, and kind of tied into sort of stuff that was happening with Afria. But actually, Afria has turned around, and that sort of story has been somewhat vindicated. So I like Liberty Health Sciences. It's a kind of a quote-unquote sort of like turnaround stock performance story. They're the largest cultivator in Florida, actually. And I didn't know this until I started doing my own due diligence, but Florida is going to be a bigger cannabis market than all of Colorado, and actually a bigger market than all of Canada. And right now it's only medicinal, so it's not even rec. It's just like for the medicinal side. So I'm excited about this company. I think it's undervalued compared to its peers. I think the stock is great. It's very liquid. It trades a lot every day. Company's got cash on the balance sheet, enough to get them to significant cash flow. And the CEO who runs the company was involved in selling Metrum to Canopy for over $400 million. So I think it's led by a good management team. And I'm excited. We're going to be actually hosting a dispensary tour and bringing investors down to look at their assets.
Cool.
So they can see it for themselves.
I know that the CEO of that company also used to be heavily involved and ran a Red Bull here right out of the Toronto offices on Queen Street. I used to do events for them back in the day. George, right, is the CEO's name?
Yeah, George.
Okay, next one below.
Most improved company.
Okay, I like that one. So I feel like I'm like Kramer. This is a bit like Kramer-esque, mad money. We just need to throw some props around. Maybe when I come back in the studio, we can like throw around some bulls and bears. Okay, so most improved company. So I'm not going to do one company, but I'm going to talk about the entire gold sector right now. If you look at pretty much every gold chart, it looks the same. Gold's kind of been sort of underwhelming for the last few years. The big PDAC mining conference that happens here in Toronto is like, they're like begging people to go to it last year. And, but now the gold chart has actually perked up. And so all of these juniors have been just humming along, not doing very much, are suddenly looking very good. And there's been a couple of Newmont earlier this year bought Gold Corp. And then there was Barrick and Randgold, which is like a $6 billion deal back in September. So there's been some big M&A.
What does that mean?
Yeah. M&A, like mergers and acquisitions. So
you gotta talk to the average Joe or Jill here, Genevieve Roch-Decter. We don't know all the acronyms yet.
Okay, mergers and acquisitions. Usually when big companies merge or there's acquisitions that happen and money is moving around and bankers are making fees, usually kind of acts as a catalyst to the entire sector when that happens.
Awesome.
So I would say, yeah, the gold chart looks good. If it gets through the sort of 1350 resistance level, upside is like 1600, 1800. Who knows? It looks very good.
Hey, quick question: how do people buy gold as a whole? Like just buy gold? I actually never know how you can go and do that.
Okay, so there's a number of ways you can go down to Scotia and buy a gold bar if you want.
But based on that $1,300, like how do you just go get a certificate to? Because I know how you buy stocks. I do it all the time. I knew how to buy crypto when I used to do it. How do you just go buy gold?
Just physical gold. Well, it's
no, not physical gold. Like a certificate of gold.
Oh, a certificate.
So you can trade. How do you trade gold?
Well, like physical gold, or you want to just have exposure to it through an ETF or something? You can buy an ETF. That'd be the cheapest, fastest way.
Okay.
Or you can buy gold coins online. There's tons of companies that you can buy gold coins for if you want to hold. Buy. You don't want to buy an ounce of gold because you don't have $1,300 US to buy an ounce of gold.
Or you buy Monet gold jewelry. How about that one?
Yeah, Monet gold jewelry. I think that's great. You buy jewelry that goes up in value. And
dude, my bracelet has gone up in value $1,000. I just looked. I just tracked it. $1,000 from when I got it.
Wow, you must have got. Wait, did you get it back in the summertime?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because
I had the Torque bracelet, and it was $2,200 when I got it. It's now I think $3,300. I just looked at the value. I couldn't believe it. Actually, it's a crazy investment.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you can show it to people, right? And
I wear it every day. It's like formed to my wrist. Anyway, that's a good way. Good, nice little plug for Monet there. That wasn't my point asking the question. I never really knew how you went and bought gold. Okay, let's just for sake of time, Bilal, let's keep this going.
Rookie of the year.
The Rookie of the Year. What companies are we starting this year as of January? Genevieve Roch-Decter from Grit Capital.
I mean, I just did 12 months. I mean, January.
Okay. Year to date, the Rookie of the Year to date.
Yeah, in the last 12 months. Well, year to date usually means starting in January, but last 12 months. So Rookie of the Year, company that went public in October, so that's just a few months ago, called MediPharm Labs. These guys were just an idea a few years ago, did a bunch of private financings, and took the company public in October. They have the largest extraction facility in the cannabis sector in Canada. What does that mean? That means taking a cannabis plant and turning it into oil. Why does that matter? Well, oils are what is going to go in, all the edibles and the food products and the pharmaceuticals. So they basically create that oil. The company did a financing to go public at around 85 cents. Stock went public, trade all the way to $3. Now it's kind of holding in around the $2 level. But they just reported that they made their first sales back in December of about $10 million. And just to put that $10 million into context, Canopy's last quarter was just $23 million. So $10 million is a lot of money in the cannabis game these days. So MediPharm Labs, I think it's a good one.
Best acquisition.
I know my best acquisition one because I was following a lot of stuff. Did you see? It might be yours, Genevieve Roch-Decter.
Wait, I have a feeling it is. Is it MPX?
Yes. No. Yeah. It's not MPX. It's not. It's not Ianthis and MPX.
Oh,
it is. Because you're so heavy in the cannabis space. For mine, it was Tesla and Maxwell.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were venturing in those sorts of stock picks.
Oh, I look at every single. Yeah. Tesla purchased Maxwell, and their company went up it was like 40% today. If you had owned that just before the announcement, it was wild.
Oh, did you own it?
I didn't. I did not own it. I didn't own it. No, I actually feel like it's really overvalued still. But they bought it in a pure share deal, so there was no money that left Tesla, which sort of just helped increase being under the Tesla umbrella. And apparently, there's a lot of Chinese money and investment within that as well. So it's.
Well, I was just going to say, like, Tesla needs to hold on to its cash, right? Like, I was making jokes last night when we were watching the Super Bowl because it was like all these Toyota ads and all these car ads of these like well-financed, large auto companies. And I'm like, I wonder why Tesla's not got a commercial here. And I was like, oh yeah, they probably can't afford it. I mean, it's a wonderful company, but they are burning cash still. So they got to be a little careful. And Elon's on their constant Twitter watch, right? Got to keep that guy away from.
I love that guy. I ordered a flamethrower from the Boring Company.
Oh, the one that he had on the Joe Rogan show?
Yeah. I didn't order one, but I was going to get one months ago. So Ianthis and MPX?
Yeah, timely actually. So that acquisition closed and was approved, and tonight I think it all gets finalized. And I think tomorrow is the first day they trade together. So Ianthis, which is a big U.S. cannabis cultivator, bought a company called MPX, and I believe it is the first public-to-public merger in U.S. cannabis history. So one public company buying another public company in the cannabis industry. Combined, the company will be worth just over $800 million. They'll be operating in 10 different states. So they're a multi-state operator, which is huge. And they're going to have about 56 retail locations, so actual cannabis retail locations that you can go in and buy cannabis.
Physically.
And actually, they're going to be on our tour, too, in Florida. So we're going to go take a look at their...
It's interesting, Genevieve, you'll remember when we were in Montreal together for an event. I studied this game. I personally, I didn't know you were going to mention this, have a lot of money put into MPX. And it's a company I really believed in, from revenues to exactly like the amount of the stores. They're just it's really quite an impressive company for a very affordable stock price. So how does it roll out? Because I own X amount of MPX shares, so they'll trade under Ianthis's as of hopefully or apparently tomorrow. And then you get a percentage basis of those shares that become Ianthis shares, because that stock's about almost 7 times the value. How does that work?
Yeah, so I was just doing the math today. So the acquisition was announced in October. And so for each share of MPX that you held or hold, you got 0.1673 Ianthis shares. And so right now that would make your shares of MPX be worth like $1.20. It's right around where MPX is trading, basically. So there's no quote unquote like arbitrage. Because sometimes in these situations, and there probably was earlier, it's just that today it's closing, so the arbitrage has been taken out. And what that means is the company or investors go long one stock and short the other, because there's a difference in valuation that you can get, and you can make a return. And in that return, if you add on a lot of leverage, which is debt, and a lot of these hedge funds will do that, you can take like a return that'll be 10%, and you just put on a bunch of debt, and that 10% can become 500% or whatever. So they just use leverage to really make a bigger return. And the reason why there's an ARB is because investors are not sure if the actual transaction will go through. So the closer and closer you get to the date of that acquisition closing, that arbitrage becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, meaning you can make the potential to make money become smaller and smaller.
And then will those shares just show up in anyone's, whether it's a TD app or a Quest Trade, will they just show up under Ianthis now tomorrow?
I believe that is the case. And then...
And do you get immediate trading on that stuff? Like, will there be a safekeeping, or is that stuff that it should like, are there, because sometimes I think there's complications in the stuff where the stock might trade, but you might not be able to trade your shares or something. Do you think that might be the case?
Usually that stuff happens more so on like go public transactions or RTOs when it's just like a merger and both companies are public and there's no kind of like, nothing special. Usually that shouldn't be an issue. There might be a delay in receiving your shares. But the only other thing I would say is you will also receive, as an MPX shareholder, there's what's called a spin-co, so a spin-out. So MPX had international assets. And so instead of having it in the Ianthis company, they're going to give you a share in this new international company. So you're also going to get that share. So that share could have other values.
And do they know what that value will be of that other share yet?
No, the market will determine what that value is. And when I just did the calculation right now, there was zero value given to the international spin out. So that's pretty good. If you bought the stock today or before today, and that SpinCo is worth something, you're gonna make more money on it.
Yeah, it's like you're getting a free share. Very interesting stuff. Well, Genevieve Roch-Decter, I love this stuff. I think it's really important for our audience, my audience, to kind of really hear your thoughts. And again, it's not financial advice. And some of the companies you do work for, I don't work for any of the companies that she talked about. Although Monet, I promote and stuff. But that was more me and a side comment. And really good stuff. I really had a lot of fun with that one today. What do you think? Well, that one felt a lot more organized.
Yeah, a lot more organized. I don't know if I'm going into too much details, but that's who I am. Maybe I got to step back a little bit.
No, it's perfect. It's what we need. And I'm going to ask you from time. We got to add another ID in there, Bilal. It's like the term of the day. So you've told us about sock puppeting, and so we'll make sure we do the three terms, like the 3 stars of the day, the 3 terms of the day, because I really want to give people an education. And again, one thing I will say, and I always tell people, do your due diligence, but I'm a firm believer of people taking control of their own wealth too. And not all of it, but some of it. Dabble, learn, get to know the markets, get to know how you can make some money in the markets, get to know about long-term plays of companies you really believe in. And a lot of those companies might be companies that you support. You buy their products, so why not buy their stock? And that's one thing I'll always say. GRD, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say one more thing on that sock puppeting. It actually happened to me. Yesterday, I found out somebody's impersonating me on LinkedIn in Liberia. So I got sock puppeted.
Oh, wow.
It actually happened in real life. So anyways, I put out a thing on my Instagram saying, this isn't me. And it wasn't just me, actually. It was a picture of myself and Zach Hyman from The Leaf, because I moderated a panel this week that he was on, and we took a picture together, and that person took that picture and put it on LinkedIn and is pretending to be him or me, or I don't know. But anyways, be careful.
Wow. Yeah, everyone's got to be careful. Protect your identities. Genevieve Roch-Decter, hopefully we'll get you back in studio next Monday.
Sounds good. Okay, bye.
Okay, see you.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.